The Galactic Federation's annual interspecies mating competition kicks off on Risa, and humanity's fate hangs in the balance. Sergeant Bruce Griffin steps onto the Pleasure Planet's surface, his boots sinking into the soft purple sand. He takes a deep breath, tasting the sweet alien air as he surveys the bustling spaceport around him. Colorful banners flutter in the warm breeze, proclaiming "Welcome competitors" in a dozen alien languages. Bruce's eyes narrow as he spots the Earth Alliance insignia among the flags, humanity's controversial first-time inclusion in the event. A throaty chuckle draws his attention. Two statuesque Nausicaan females saunter towards him, their forearm bodies rippling with genetically enhanced muscles. Bruce recognizes them instantly. Faye and Zara, the infamous twins known for overwhelming even the most virile alien competitors. "So this is Earth's champion?" Faye purrs, circling Bruce with predatory grace. Zara leans in close, her hot breath tickling his ear. "I bet he can't even satisfy one of us, let alone both." Bruce meets their gaze unflinchingly. "Care to put that to the test?" A hush falls over the crowd as Grand Arbiter Zylox steps forward, his tentacles writhing with excitement. "A bold challenge. If the human succeeds where all others have failed, Earth shall be granted a seat on the Galactic Council." Bruce's heart races at the potential for humanity's advancement, but Zylox isn't finished. "However, should you fail, Earth must cede control of its colonies to the Nausicaan Empire." The twins' eyes glitter with anticipation as Bruce weighs the enormous stakes. His communicator chirps, and Colonel Sarah Hawkins's voice crackles through. "Griffin, stand down. The physical risks are too great. We can't gamble our future on this." Bruce hesitates, acutely aware of the eyes of 100 alien species upon him. He recalls his briefing on the Nausicaans' genetic enhancements for sexual supremacy. It seems an impossible task, but humanity's ingenuity has overcome greater odds before. "I accept the challenge," Bruce declares, his voice ringing out across the spaceport. As the crowd erupts in cheers and jeers, Bruce catches a glimpse of a Vulcan diplomat, T-Pax, huddled with a group of aliens. Their furtive glances and hushed tones set off warning bells in his mind. Anti-human extremists, perhaps. He files the observation away for later. Grand Arbiter Zylox raises his tentacles for silence. "The competition's opening ceremony will commence shortly. Sergeant Griffin, you will be escorted to a specially designed chamber for your encounter with Faye and Zara." As Bruce follows a blue-skinned attendant towards the gleaming towers of Risa's pleasure district, he runs through his options. His military training has prepared him for grueling physical challenges. But this is unlike any mission he's faced before. He touches the small pouch at his hip, feeling the outline of the experimental Federation technology within, humanity's secret weapon. The towering doors of the competition chamber loom before him. Bruce squares his shoulders, ready to prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. As he steps inside, the fate of Earth resting squarely on his shoulders, one thought echoes in his mind. No one has dared to satisfy both these alien girls at once. Until now. The towering doors of the competition chamber slide open with a soft hiss, revealing a vast, featureless room. Bruce steps inside, his heart pounding in his chest as the doors seal shut behind him. The air shimmers and ripples, holographic projectors coming to life around him. Faye and Zara materialize in the center of the room, their four-armed bodies radiating power and sensuality. Bruce's fingers brush against the pouch at his hip, activating the experimental Federation technology within. A silvery liquid seeps out, quickly enveloping his body in a skin-tight nanosuit. "Impressive toy," Faye purrs, her eyes raking over Bruce's newly armored form. Zara circles behind him, her voice a low growl. "But it won't save you from us." Bruce takes a deep breath, centering himself. "Let's find out." The holographic environment shifts, transforming the Stark chamber into a lush alien jungle. Vibrant flora sprouts from the ground, filling the air with exotic scents. Bruce's military training kicks in as he assesses the terrain, looking for strategic advantages. The twins move with preternatural grace, their enhanced bodies allowing them to navigate the dense foliage with ease. Bruce activates the nanosuit's neural interface, his thoughts reshaping the holographic landscape. The jungle floor becomes unstable, forcing the Nausicaans to adapt to the shifting terrain. Faye lunges forward, her forearms reaching for Bruce. He ducks and weaves, the nanosuit enhancing his reflexes. As he evades her grasp, he notices a flicker of surprise in her eyes. It's subtle, but unmistakable. She hadn't expected him to be this quick. Zara attacks from behind, but Bruce is ready. He manipulates the holograms, creating a dense wall of vegetation between them. As she tears through the illusory barrier, Bruce counters with a move of his own. The nanosuit amplifies his strength, allowing him to match the Nausicaans' raw power. Hours blur together as the encounter intensifies. Bruce pushes his body to its limits, relying on the nanosuit to keep pace with the genetically enhanced twins. Yet as the competition progresses, he begins to notice something unexpected. Beneath their aggressive exterior, Faye and Zara show moments of genuine pleasure and even admiration. During a brief lull, Bruce catches Faye whispering to her sister, "He's different from the others." Zara nods, a hint of respect in her voice. More adaptable, creative. The realization hits Bruce like a bolt of lightning. The twins' fearsome reputation might be partly based on intimidation rather than pure physical superiority. He files this information away, ready to use it to his advantage. Suddenly, the holographic environment flickers. The gravity shifts, becoming erratic and unpredictable. Bruce stumbles, his nanosuit struggling to compensate. He sees confusion on the twins' faces as well. This isn't part of the planned scenario. Outside the chamber, Colonel Sarah Hawkins' voice crackles through a hidden comm link in Bruce's ear. "Griffin, we've detected unauthorized access to the environmental controls. Anti-human extremists are trying to sabotage the competition. We're working to counter their efforts, but you'll need to adapt." Bruce grits his teeth, pushing through the discomfort as the atmosphere in the chamber begins to thin. He notices Faye and Zara also struggling with the changing conditions. Despite the sabotage, he refuses to call for a halt to the competition. Earth's future in the galactic community hangs in the balance. As the hours stretch on, Bruce's performance begins to draw attention from the alien observers. Murmurs of surprise and admiration filter through the chamber's monitoring systems. Even Grand Arbiter Xylox, initially skeptical of humanity's inclusion, can be heard reconsidering his stance. "The human shows unexpected resilience." Xylox's voice echoes through the chamber. "Perhaps we underestimated Earth's potential." Bruce's nanosuit begins to falter under the prolonged stress and environmental interference. Warning signals flash across his neural interface as systems start to shut down. With his technological edge fading, Bruce is forced to rely on his natural abilities and quick thinking. He notices fatigue setting in for Faye and Zara as well. Their movements, while still impressive, lack the raw power they displayed at the start. Bruce realizes that the competition has already lasted longer than any in the event's history. As his nanosuit's final systems flicker offline, Bruce steels himself for the challenge ahead. The holographic jungle fades away, leaving them in the bare chamber once more. Faye and Zara approach, their eyes glinting with a mix of exhaustion and persistence. "Ready to surrender, human?" Faye asks, her voice betraying a hint of uncertainty. Bruce meets her gaze, his purpose unwavering. "Not a chance, we're just getting started." With that, he launches himself back into the fray, relying solely on his human ingenuity and stamina. The fate of Earth rests on his shoulders, and Bruce is determined to prove that humanity belongs among the stars. As Bruce prepared to face the Nausicaan twins once more, a violent tremor shook the chamber. The holographic jungle flickered and vanished, leaving them in a stark, featureless room. Bruce's nanosuit sparked and went dark, its advanced systems overloaded by the sudden power surge. "What's happening?" Faye demanded, her forearms tensed for action. Before anyone could respond, Grand Arbiter Xylox's voice boomed through hidden speakers. "We are experiencing technical difficulties. The competition will pause briefly while we address these issues." Bruce fought to catch his breath as attendants ushered them out of the chamber. In the corridor, he spotted Colonel Hawkins engaged in a heated discussion with a blue-skinned alien. She caught his eye and nodded, indicating he should follow. They ducked into a small alcove where a Centaurian woman waited, her luminescent skin casting a soft glow in the dim light. "Sergeant Griffin," I'm Dr. Ilara Voss, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I've been working with Colonel Hawkins on a contingency plan. Bruce raised an eyebrow. What kind of plan? Dr. Voss produced a small vial filled with iridescent liquid. This is a specially formulated stimulant designed to enhance human stamina and sensory perception. It's completely undetectable and within competition regulations. Bruce hesitated, weighing the risks. Colonel Hawkins placed a hand on his shoulder. It's your call, Griffin, but remember what's at stake. After a moment's consideration, Bruce nodded and took the vial. He downed its contents in one swift motion, feeling a tingling warmth spread through his body. Good luck, Sergeant, Dr. Voss said as alarms blared, signaling the resumption of the competition. Back in the chamber, Bruce faced Faye and Zara without the protection of his nanosuit. The twins grinned, clearly believing their victory was at hand. But as they circled him, Bruce felt a new clarity and focus. He recalled his survival training, the lessons on conserving energy and exploiting an opponent's weaknesses. As Zara lunged forward, Bruce sidestepped with unexpected agility, causing her to stumble. Impossible, she growled. You should be exhausted by now. Bruce allowed himself a small smile. Humans are full of surprises. Over the next few hours, he employed a variety of techniques that kept the Nausicaans off balance. He introduced unfamiliar rhythms to his movements, alternating between quick bursts of activity and calculated pauses. The twins, accustomed to overwhelming their opponents with sheer physical power, found themselves struggling to adapt. As the unprecedented duration of the encounter became apparent, Bruce noticed a shift in the atmosphere. The chamber's observation panels flickered to life, revealing glimpses of various alien species watching intently. He caught snippets of excited conversations in languages he didn't understand, but the tone was clear. Humanity's performance was causing a stir. Faye and Zara's initial confidence began to waver. Their movements, while still impressive, lacked the raw power they had displayed at the start. Bruce seized on this, taking a more assertive role in their interactions. You're different from the others, Faye panted during a brief lull. Zara nodded in agreement. We've never encountered someone so adaptable. Bruce's response was cut short by a commotion outside the chamber. Alarms blared, and he heard the sounds of a scuffle. Through the observation panels, he glimpsed Colonel Hawkins grappling with the Vulcan diplomat he had noticed earlier, Tapax. Grand Arbiter Xylox's voice crackled through the speakers. Remain calm. Security is handling an attempted breach. The distraction was momentary, but it was enough for Bruce to notice something he had missed before. Beneath their aggressive exterior, Faye and Zara's eyes held a glimmer of something unexpected. Admiration and perhaps even attraction. As the hours stretched on, Bruce found himself drawing on reserves of stamina he never knew he possessed. The stimulant Dr. Voss had given him seemed to sharpen his senses, allowing him to pick up on subtle cues from the Nausicaan twins. He began to tailor his approach, not just to outlast them, but to genuinely connect. Bruce introduced elements of playfulness and tenderness that caught Faye and Zara completely off guard. Their responses became less mechanical, more genuine. The chamber's atmosphere changed subtly. The air seemed to crackle with a new energy as the encounter shifted from a test of endurance to something more profound. Bruce found himself no longer simply trying to satisfy the twins, but to understand and please them on a deeper level. Faye's voice, usually filled with bravado, softened. No one has ever cared about our pleasure before? Zara nodded, a look of confusion and wonder crossing her face. It's always been about domination, not this. Bruce met their gaze, seeing the conflict in their eyes. He realized that this encounter had become more than a competition. It was reshaping their understanding of intimacy and connection. As the challenge reached its peak, Bruce pushed himself to his absolute limits. His muscles screamed for rest, but he refused to yield. Faye and Zara matched his intensity, their earlier arrogance replaced by a mix of perseverance and something that looked remarkably like affection. The observation panels now showed a sea of alien faces, all transfixed by the unprecedented spectacle. Among them, Bruce spotted the Arcturian ambassador, engaged in animated discussion with other representatives, gesturing emphatically towards the chamber. Grand Arbiter. Xylox's voice cut through the haze of Bruce's exertion. Remarkable, simply remarkable. We may need to reconsider our entire understanding of human capabilities. As Bruce prepared for what he hoped would be the final push, he caught Faye and Zara exchanging a loaded glance. The twins seemed to be silently communicating, wrestling with a decision that went beyond the competition. The chamber crackled with tension as Bruce, Faye, and Zara reached the climax of their encounter. The fate of humanity's place in the galactic community hung in the balance. But in that moment, something even more profound was taking shape. A connection that transcended species and challenged the very foundations of the competition itself. As the intensity of their encounter reached its peak, Bruce noticed a shift in Faye and Zara's demeanor. The twins' expressions softened, their aggressive movements becoming more gentle and exploratory. Bruce's heart raced, not just from exertion, but from the realization that something unprecedented was unfolding. Faye's hand lingered on Bruce's shoulder, her touch no longer forceful, but almost tender. "You're different," she whispered, echoing her earlier statement but with new meaning. Zara nodded, her eyes locked on Bruce's. "We've never experienced anything like this." The chamber fell silent, the air thick with tension and unspoken emotions. Suddenly, Grand Arbiter Xylox's voice boomed through the speakers, shattering the moment. "Attention! We are calling an emergency session of the Galactic Council. The competition is temporarily suspended." Bruce, Faye, and Zara exchanged confused glances as the chamber's doors slid open. Medical staff rushed in, immediately attending to Bruce. As they examined him, he caught sight of Colonel Hawkins in the corridor, her face a mix of triumph and concern. "Griffin, you've done it," she said, approaching him. "But we're not out of the woods yet." Before Bruce could respond, he felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. Dr. Voss appeared at his side, her luminescent skin pulsing with worry. "His vital signs are critical. We need to get him to the medical bay immediately." As the medical team whisked Bruce away on a hover stretcher, he saw Faye and Zara being led in a different direction by stern-looking Nausicaan officials. The twins cast longing glances back at him, their faces etched with concern and something that looked remarkably like affection. In the medical bay, Bruce drifted in and out of consciousness as Dr. Voss and her team worked to stabilize his condition. Through the haze of his exhaustion, he caught snippets of conversation. "Unprecedented endurance. Potential diplomatic crisis. Nausicaan Empire threatens withdrawal. Threatens." Hours later, Bruce awoke to find Colonel Hawkins standing at his bedside, her expression grim. "How are you feeling, Sergeant?" Bruce attempted to sit up, wincing at the pain that shot through his body. "Like I've been hit by a starship. What's happening out there?" Hawkins sighed, running a hand through her short-cropped hair. "It's chaos. The Nausicaan twins have requested to withdraw from the competition. They've expressed feelings for you, Griffin. It's causing quite the stir." Bruce's mind reeled, struggling to process this information. Before he could respond, the door to his room slid open, revealing Faye and Zara. The twins hesitated at the threshold, their usual confidence replaced by uncertainty. Colonel Hawkins nodded to Bruce and excused herself, leaving the three of them alone. Faye spoke first, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "We wanted to ensure you were all right." Zara stepped closer, her forearms fidgeting nervously. "What happened in that chamber? It changed everything for us." Bruce swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I felt it too," he admitted. "But what about the competition? Your empire?" The twins exchanged a pained look. Faye shook her head. "We can't continue the competition. Not after this. We've never connected with anyone like we did with you." "Our empire is furious," Zara added, her jaw clenching. "They're threatening to leave the Galactic Federation, but we can't ignore what we've discovered." As Bruce struggled to find words, alarms blared throughout the medical bay. Grand Arbiter Xylox's voice echoed through the facility. "Attention all delegates and competitors. The Galactic Council will convene in 1 hour to address recent events. Attendance is mandatory." Faye and Zara moved closer to Bruce's bed, their expressions a mix of willpower and fear. "Whatever happens," Faye said, taking Bruce's hand, Know that you've changed us forever. Zara nodded in agreement. You've shown us a new way of connecting, of being. We can't go back to how things were before. As Bruce looked into their eyes, he saw the weight of their decision, the potential consequences of their actions. He squeezed Faye's hand, offering what comfort he could. I don't know what's going to happen, he said, his voice hoarse but steady, but I'm glad you're here. The medical bay bustled with activity as staff prepared Bruce for transport to the council chambers. As he was helped into a hover chair, Bruce caught sight of Colonel Hawkins engaged in an intense discussion with Dr. Voss and several alien diplomats. The fate of humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance, and Bruce found himself at the center of it all. As they made their way to the council chambers, Bruce steeled himself for what lay ahead, knowing that his actions and words in the coming hours could shape the future of Earth and its place among the stars. Stars in their new galactic landscape. As the hover chair glided through the corridors, Bruce's mind raced with the implications of what had transpired in the chamber. The council chambers buzzed with nervous energy as Bruce entered, flanked by Faye and Zara. Delegates from across the galaxy filled the tiered seats, their faces a kaleidoscope of alien features. Bruce spotted Colonel Hawkins and Dr. Voss seated near the front, their expressions tense. Grand Arbiter Xylox, a towering figure with iridescent scales, raised a hand for silence. The chamber fell quiet, all eyes fixed on the imposing alien. We have convened this emergency session to address the unprecedented events that have transpired during the human trial. Xylox's voice resonated through the chamber. What we have witnessed challenges our preconceptions and demands a reevaluation of our admission criteria. Bruce felt a bead of sweat trickle down his neck as Xylox continued. Sergeant Bruce Griffin has demonstrated not only exceptional physical endurance, but also a remarkable capacity for forging interspecies connections. This unexpected development has led us to a groundbreaking decision. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Xylox raised a hand again, silencing the crowd. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Federation. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. Colonel Hawkins's eyes widened in surprise, while Dr. Voss's luminescent skin pulsed with excitement. However, Xylox continued, this membership is contingent on a new challenge. Sergeant Griffin must prove humanity's ability to adapt to and thrive in alien environments. Bruce straightened in his hover chair, his muscles protesting the movement. He caught Faye and Zara exchanging worried glances. We have devised a series of trials on various alien worlds, Xylox explained. Each will test different aspects of human adaptability. Sergeant Griffin, are you prepared to undertake this challenge? Before Bruce could respond, Faye stepped forward. Grand Arbiter, we request permission to accompany the human on these trials. Zara nodded in agreement. As cultural liaisons and potential mates. A shocked silence fell over the chamber, broken by angry shouts from the Nausicaan delegation. Bruce's heart raced as he realized the implications of their offer. Xylox considered for a moment before nodding. Your request is granted. This unexpected alliance may provide valuable insights into interspecies cooperation. As the council session concluded, Bruce found himself swept into a whirlwind of preparations. Colonel Hawkins approached, her face a mix of pride and concern. You've opened doors we never thought possible, Griffin, she said. But the real challenge begins now. We're assembling a support team to assist you from afar. Dr. Voss joined them, her skin pulsing with an excited glow. I'll be monitoring your physiological responses to each alien environment. We're pushing the boundaries of human adaptation here. A new face appeared, a stern-looking man with cybernetic implants visible at his temples. Major Marcus Chen, he introduced himself, Earth's top xenotechnologist. I'll be providing you with adaptive equipment for each world you visit. As Bruce absorbed this information, an alarm blared through the station. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a planet with swirling, ominous clouds. Zorax Prime, Xylox's voice announced. Your first trial begins in 12 hours. Prepare yourselves. The next few hours passed in a blur of briefings and equipment fittings. Major Chen outfitted Bruce with an experimental exosuit, its sleek design belying its complex capabilities. This suit will help you withstand Zorax Prime's high gravity and corrosive atmosphere, Chen explained, making final adjustments. But it has limitations. Push it too hard, and you'll be exposed. As the departure time approached, Bruce found a moment alone with Faye and Zara. The twins' usual bravado had been replaced by a quiet drive. "Why are you doing this?" Bruce asked softly. "You're risking everything." Faye's hand found his, her touch gentle. "Because you showed us there's more to life than dominance and power." Zara nodded, her forearms wrapping around herself in an uncharacteristically vulnerable gesture. "Our people may see this as a betrayal, but we can't ignore what we've discovered." The moment was interrupted by Colonel Hawkins's voice over the intercom. "Griffin, prepare for departure. Your transport to Zorax Prime leaves in 5 minutes." As Bruce boarded the ship with Faye and Zara, he caught sight of the Nausicaan delegation watching from a distance, their faces masks of disapproval and anger. The weight of his responsibility settled on Bruce's shoulders as the ship's engines roared to life. The journey to Zorax Prime was tense, filled with last-minute briefings and equipment checks. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, Bruce's exosuit activated, immediately countering the crushing gravity. "Remember," Dr. Voss's voice crackled through the comm, "your primary objective is to retrieve the Zoraxian crystal. It's essential for faster-than-light travel research." The ship touched down on a desolate plain, the corrosive winds howling outside. Bruce took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. "Let's do this," he said, his voice steady despite the churning in his stomach. As the ship's hatch opened, Bruce stepped out onto the alien world, Faye and Zara close behind. The landscape before them was a nightmare of jagged rocks and swirling, caustic mists. In the distance, a mountain range loomed, its peaks disappearing into the toxic clouds above. Bruce's exosuit hummed, adjusting to the intense gravitational pull. He took a tentative step forward, testing his movement. To his surprise, Faye and Zara seemed to be struggling more than he was, their powerful bodies straining against Zorax Prime's unforgiving conditions. "The crystal formation should be located in a cave system at the base of those mountains," Major Chen's voice came through the comm. "Our scans show a treacherous terrain between your position and the target. Proceed with caution." Bruce nodded, even though Chen couldn't see him. He turned to Faye and Zara, noting the drive in their eyes despite their obvious discomfort. "Stay close," he said. "We'll take this one step at a time." As they began their journey across the alien landscape, Bruce felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. With Faye and Zara at his side and Earth's future hanging in the balance, he pressed forward into the unknown. Unknown alien landscape, his exosuit straining against the harsh conditions. The journey across Zorax Prime proved to be as treacherous as they had anticipated. Bruce, Faye, and Zara navigated through jagged rock formations and caustic mists, their progress slowed by the planet's crushing gravity. Despite the challenges, they successfully retrieved the Zoraxian crystal, completing their first trial. Upon their return to the Galactic Federation station, Bruce barely had time to catch his breath before being thrust into preparations for the next challenge. Major Chen approached him with a new piece of equipment, his cybernetic implants glowing faintly. "Your next trial takes place on Neptoon," Chen explained, holding up a sleek, iridescent suit. "It's an aquatic world, entirely covered in deep oceans. This advanced diving suit will allow you to withstand extreme pressures and remain underwater for extended periods." Bruce examined the suit, noting its complex array of sensors and life support systems. As he donned the new equipment, Dr. Voss's holographic image appeared, her luminescent skin pulsing with concern. "Be cautious, Sergeant Griffin," she warned. "Your body is already showing signs of stress from the rapid environmental changes. We'll be monitoring your vitals closely." Before Bruce could respond, Colonel Hawkins strode into the room, her expression serious. "Griffin, this trial is as much about diplomacy as it is about physical endurance. You'll be negotiating a trade agreement with the Neptulonians, a reclusive species known for their advanced biotechnology. Earth's standing in the Federation could hinge on your success." Bruce nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders once again. He turned to Faye and Zara, who stood nearby in their own specialized aquatic gear. Ready for a swim? The trio boarded a sleek submersible vessel, which quickly descended through Neptulon's vast oceans. As they plunged deeper, Bruce felt a growing discomfort in his ears and sinuses, despite his suit's advanced capabilities. The pressure changes were more rapid and intense than he had anticipated. "Bruce, your vitals are fluctuating," Dr. Voss's voice crackled through the comm. "How are you feeling?" "A bit disoriented," Bruce admitted, his voice strained. "But I can manage." As they approached the Neptulonian capital, an underwater metropolis of bioluminescent structures came into view. Faye gasped in awe, her forearms pressing against the viewport. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Their vessel docked at an airlock, and as the water drained away, they were greeted by Ambassador Zylara, a tall, elegant Neptulonian with shimmering scales and glowing tendrils that floated around her head like a living crown. "Welcome to Neptulon," Zylara said, her voice melodic yet tinged with skepticism. "I must admit we were surprised to receive a human envoy. Your species is untested in galactic affairs." Bruce stepped forward, pushing through his discomfort. "Ambassador Zylara, we appreciate your willingness to meet with us. Earth is eager to establish positive relations with all members of the Galactic Federation." As Bruce began negotiations, he drew upon his experiences with Faye and Zara, weaving human charisma with insights into alien cultural norms. The ambassador's initial skepticism began to wane, replaced by growing interest in this unique trio of a human and two Nausicaans working in harmony. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shuddered. Zylara's tendrils flared with alarm. "Another tremor," she explained, her voice tight with worry. "Our planet's core has become increasingly unstable, threatening our entire civilization." Bruce saw an opportunity. "Ambassador, Earth has developed advanced geological stabilization technology. We would be willing to share this in exchange for access to Neptulonian biotechnology." Before Zylara could respond, a violent tremor shook the city. Alarms blared as cracks appeared in the structure around them. "We need to act now," Bruce urged. "Let us help you." Zylara nodded quickly. "Agreed, but we must test your technology immediately. You'll need to reach our planet's core." As they boarded experimental Neptulonian vehicles designed for deep-sea travel, Bruce's diving suit emitted a series of warning beeps. He felt a sudden rush of cold as a seal near his left wrist began to fail. "Bruce, your suit is malfunctioning," Dr. Voss's voice came through, tight with concern. "The integrity is compromised." Faye noticed Bruce's distress and moved closer, her strong arms steadying him. "What's wrong?" "Suit malfunction," Bruce grunted, fighting to maintain his composure as icy water began to seep in. "Might be linked to the saboteur's actions." Zara quickly assessed the situation. "We need to seal that breach now," she said, her voice calm but urgent. Working together, Faye and Zara managed to apply a temporary fix, their actions demonstrating a level of teamwork that impressed the watching Neptulonians. As they descended towards Neptulon's unstable core, Bruce coordinated with Major Chen to prepare the stabilization technology. Despite the pain from the pressure changes and the cold seeping into his suit, Bruce remained focused on the task at hand. Reaching the core, they deployed the Earth technology. For a tense moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then gradually, the violent tremors subsided. A cheer went up from the Neptulonian crew as readings confirmed the core was stabilizing. Ambassador Zylara's tendrils glowed with relief and gratitude. "You've saved our world," she said, her melodic voice filled with awe. "The Galactic Council will hear of this." As they began their ascent, Bruce's vision began to blur. The accumulated stress on his body from multiple alien environments was taking its toll. He fought to stay conscious, aware that the success of their mission hung in the balance. "Bruce, can you hear me?" Dr. Voss's voice seemed to come from far away. "Your body is showing signs of severe stress. We need to get you back to the station immediately." Bruce tried to respond, but no words came. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Faye and Zara's concerned faces, their eyes filled with a mix of worry and something deeper, something that had grown between them through their shared trials. As darkness closed in, Bruce's final thought was of Earth, and the hope that his efforts had brought humanity one step closer to its place among the stars. stars. The darkness enveloped him, a stark contrast to the vibrant alien worlds he had just experienced. Bruce's unconscious form was rushed back to the Galactic Federation station, his vital signs erratic and fading. Dr. Ilara Voss and Major Marcus Chen worked frantically to stabilize him, their faces etched with concern as they placed him in a medical stasis pod. His cellular structure is changing at an unprecedented rate, Dr. Voss observed, her luminescent skin pulsing with anxiety as she studied the readouts. It's as if his body is trying to adapt to every environment he's been exposed to simultaneously. Major Chen's cybernetic implants glowed as he processed the data. Could this be related to the saboteur's actions, a deliberate attempt to compromise human physiology? Before Dr. Voss could respond, Colonel Sarah Hawkins burst into the medical bay, her usually composed demeanor shaken. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They're suspending the trials. The news spread quickly through the station, igniting a firestorm of debate among the various alien factions. In the council chambers, voices rose in heated argument. The humans clearly aren't ready for this level of galactic integration, a Rigelian representative named Zorax declared, his tentacles waving in agitation. This mutation could be a deliberate ploy to gain genetic superiority. Ambassador Xylera of Neptun rose, her bioluminescent tendrils flaring. The human, Bruce Griffin, saved our world. We cannot abandon them now. As the debate raged on, Faye and Zara remained steadfast at Bruce's side, their imposing Nausicaan frames a stark contrast to the sterile medical equipment surrounding them. Faye's hand rested gently on the stasis pod, her usually fierce eyes soft with worry. "You have to pull through this, Bruce," she whispered. "We've come too far together." Zara nodded, her forearms crossed tightly across her chest. "Our people may not understand, but we won't leave you." Their unwavering loyalty did not go unnoticed. Alien diplomats passing by the medical bay whispered among themselves, many moved by the sight of such a strong interspecies bond. In her office, Colonel Hawkins received an unexpected transmission. The holographic form of the Arcturian ambassador materialized before her, its crystalline structure glittering. "Colonel, we've been impressed by humanity's performance in the trials," the ambassador began, its voice a melodious chime. "We're prepared to offer our advanced medical technology to save Sergeant Griffin's life and stabilize his mutations." Hawkins leaned forward, hope flickering in her eyes. "That's incredibly generous. What's the catch?" The ambassador's form shimmered. "In exchange, we require an exclusive trade agreement with Earth." Hawkins felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. The potential benefits were enormous, but the political ramifications could be severe. She opened a secure channel to Earth's government, knowing time was of the essence. As debates erupted on Earth, Dr. Voss made a startling discovery. She burst into Hawkins' office, her eyes wide with excitement. "Colonel, Bruce's mutations. If we can stabilize them, they could result in a hybrid physiology capable of adapting to almost any environment. The implications for interstellar exploration and diplomacy are staggering." Before Hawkins could fully process this information, another alert came through. The Neptulonians, grateful for Bruce's role in saving their planet, were offering their own biotechnology to assist in his treatment. The station buzzed with activity as three separate teams, Arcturian, Neptulonian, and Earth's own scientists, raced to find a solution. In the medical bay, Bruce's vital signs continued to fluctuate wildly, each spike and dip sending waves of anxiety through Faye and Zara. Amidst the chaos, the anti-human faction, led by Zorax, saw an opportunity. They began spreading rumors through the station, whispering of human duplicity and hidden agendas. The propaganda gained traction, threatening to undo the goodwill humanity had built. Colonel Hawkins stood before the mirror in her quarters, steeling herself for the task ahead. She had to present Dr. Voss's findings to the Galactic Council, knowing that Bruce's fate and humanity's future in the stars hung in the balance. As she prepared to leave, a message from Faye and Zara appeared on her comm device. Despite mounting pressure from the Nausicaan Empire to return home, the twins had made their decision. They would stand by Bruce, regardless of the consequences. Hawkins took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. She stepped out of her quarters, ready to face the council and fight for humanity's place among the stars. Behind her in the medical bay, Bruce's stasis pod hummed softly, his body continuing its mysterious transformation as the galaxy waited to see what he would become. As the station hummed with activity and tension, an unexpected change occurred in the medical bay. Bruce's vital signs, which had been erratic for hours, suddenly stabilized. The medical team watched in astonishment as his body began to glow with a soft, pulsating light. Dr. Voss rushed to the stasis pod, her eyes widening as she studied the readouts. "This is unprecedented," she breathed, her luminescent skin flickering with excitement. "His cellular structure is stabilizing, but it's unlike anything I've ever seen." Major Chen leaned in, his cybernetic implants scanning the data. It's as if his body has found a way to integrate the alien physiologies he was exposed to. As they watched, Bruce's eyes fluttered open. He sat up slowly, looking at his hands with a mixture of confusion and wonder. His skin now had a subtle, iridescent sheen, and he could feel a newfound strength coursing through his body. "How do you feel, Sergeant Griffin?" Dr. Voss asked, approaching cautiously. Bruce flexed his fingers, feeling the power in them. "Different, stronger. Like I can breathe underwater and walk through fire at the same time." Faye and Zara, who had refused to leave Bruce's side, exchanged glances of relief and amazement. "Bruce," Faye said, her voice thick with emotion, "you had us worried." Before Bruce could respond, Colonel Hawkins burst into the medical bay, her eyes wide with urgency. "The council is about to make their decision. We need to act now." Bruce stood, marveling at how easily his body moved. "Then let's not keep them waiting." As they hurried through the station's corridors, Bruce noticed he could sense the different atmospheric conditions in each section, his body automatically adjusting to them. They reached the council chambers just as Grand Arbiter Xylox was calling for a vote. The door slid open, and Bruce strode in, flanked by Faye and Zara. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to the transformed human. Bruce stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice strong and clear, "I stand before you as living proof of humanity's potential." To demonstrate his point, Bruce walked to different sections of the chamber, each calibrated to mimic the home environments of various council members. He breathed easily in the methane atmosphere of the Rigelian section, then stepped into the high-gravity area reserved for the Zoraxians without breaking stride. Murmurs of astonishment rippled through the assembly. Even Zox, the vocal opponent of humanity's inclusion, watched with reluctant fascination. Grand Arbiter Xylox raised a hand for silence. "This is indeed remarkable, Sergeant Griffin, but we need more than a display of adaptability to grant Earth membership in the Federation." Xylox gestured, and a holographic arena materialized in the center of the chamber. "You will face a final test. This course combines challenges from all the worlds you visited during the trials. Your performance will determine humanity's fate." Bruce nodded, stepping into the arena without hesitation. The holographic environment shifted, and he found himself on a narrow path suspended over a chasm. The gravity increased dramatically, mimicking Zorax Prime's crushing pull. As Bruce navigated the treacherous terrain, Faye called out, "Remember your training on Zorax. Use short, powerful movements." Bruce adjusted his gait, moving with a fluid efficiency that belied the immense gravitational forces at work. He reached the end of the path just as the environment shifted again, plunging him into a simulated ocean reminiscent of Neptun's depths. Zara's voice reached him through the water. "Relax your body, Bruce. Let your new physiology work for you." Bruce felt his body adapting, gills forming along his neck as he propelled himself through the crushing pressures. He emerged from the water onto a platform of shifting, crystalline structures that refracted light in dizzying patterns. As he maneuvered through this final obstacle, alarms suddenly blared. The holographic arena flickered, energy surges crackling through the air. "The system's destabilizing," Major Chen shouted from the control panel. "Someone's triggered a feedback loop in the power core." Without hesitation, Bruce leapt towards the source of the energy surge. His body seemed to instinctively know what to do. He placed his hands on the crackling, holographic emitters, and his skin began to glow. The energy flowed into him, and he redirected it, dispersing it harmlessly throughout the chamber. As the last of the energy dissipated, Bruce turned to face the stunned council. For a moment, silence reigned. Then Grand Arbiter Zorax stood, its crystalline form glittering. "In all my cycles as Arbiter, I have never witnessed such an extraordinary display," Zorax announced. "Sergeant Bruce Griffin has not only completed the challenge, but has saved this council from potential harm. I call for an immediate vote on Earth's membership in the Galactic Federation." The vote was swift and unanimous. As the council members signaled their approval, Colonel Hawkins stepped forward, her face beaming with pride. "Sergeant Griffin," she said, her voice carrying throughout the chamber, "on behalf of Earth, I am honored to appoint you as our primary ambassador to the Galactic Federation." Bruce looked at Faye and Zara, who stood nearby, their eyes shining with a mix of pride and affection. He realized that his journey had not only transformed him physically, but had forged bonds that transcended species. As the council chamber erupted in a flurry of activity, Bruce found himself at the center of a new reality. Earth was now a full member of the Galactic Federation, and he was its face to the cosmos. The challenges ahead were immense, but as he stood there, with Faye and Zara at his side and his new hybrid physiology humming with potential, Bruce knew that this was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure.
If you finished this story, please subscribe and like the video. Then leave a comment that says, "I liked the story," and I will heart every single one of them. It really helps me. Thank you for your time.